Justice Ranjan Gogoi, as the second most senior judge today, lends the Supreme Court both shadow and guiding light. We are very privileged to have him here. So please join me in welcoming Justice Ranjan Gogoi to deliver the third Ramnath Goenka Memorial Lecture.
Let me begin by thanking the Express Group for giving me this rare honor to deliver this lecture in the memory of a great person who was an institution by himself, Ramnath Goenka ji. I'll use a few minutes to put across my proposition as to what I intend to say when I talk about the vision of justice. I'll borrow from the chief editor, Rajkamal Jha himself, because it offers a very fine perspective, very powerfully, very thoughtfully, and very rightly. Jha had said of Ramnath ji, in one of his letters to me, we had exchanged some correspondence relating to the subject. And he said, fierce independence and enduring sense of inquiry without fear or favor were the two values that Ramnath ji believed formed the bedrock of justice. It is absolutely incontestable that they do. And for convenience, let me call them the bedrock principles. But if I were to look at it anatomically, while these do indeed form the bedrock of justice, what is the form, what is the body of the ideal called justice, which rests on this bedrock? The bedrock principles have been the talk of the town lately, considering how the entire think tank is so keenly focused on it. I am not suggesting that it ought not to be. It ought to be done, and it is being done. I cannot recall the last time the judicial wing of the state made so much news. On a lighter note, the American founding father, Hamilton, who had suggested that the judiciary was the least dangerous branch of the three branches, and I'll refer to him again during the course of my address. But were he to be here today, I wonder if he would have felt the same way. More so, in the light of the Indian Express top 100 most powerful Indians, which included several names from the judiciary. But the fact of the matter is that if we have to take stock of how we have fared, and about 7 decades later, since we have ventured into becoming a constitutional order, this appears to be an opportune time to do so. We might as well do it comprehensively. And by comprehensively, what I mean is that we must evaluate both the bedrock principles and the form principles, because the vision of justice, the way I understand, is a compound of both. Clearly, they are not unconnected. You'll agree that in the backdrop of a bleeding mega partition, deeply entrenched inequities, perpetuating injustices, our Constitution ushered us into believing in a grand promise of transformation on a scale that was beyond reformatory. It was, in all its full glory, a revolution in all aspects of life, social, political, and economic. In a way, it said, let bygones be, and a new society that we would be egalitarian, while preserving our pluralistic character. We would be democratic and united too. The state would be religion neutral, the citizens equal and together. Coming to think of it, it was just as pretentious as it was unpretentious an idea. But be that as it may, public institutions, one of them being the judiciary, were inherited. They were tweaked where the need was felt to give life to this prodigious architecture of justice. And here I would like to clarify that by justice, I am not implying only the juridical connotation of the word, which is the administration of justice by the courts of law, although it is just as imperative. But justice is something that is an overarching principle, an underlying fundamental, the spirit. In order to say, which is why I say prodigious, because it was a confluence of many philosophies. The Supreme Court's 2015 ruling in Shreya Singhal. It is a celebrated judgment, where the Supreme Court held the public's right to know was directly affected by Section 66A of the Information Technology Act. Interestingly, while doing so, the court was certainly inspired by, amongst others, rulings, Ramesh Thapa, Brij Bhushan, Bennett Coleman. If you would recall, these were perhaps some of the earliest pronouncements protecting an independent Indian's speech and expression, and were delivered in the light of the rights of the press, which verdict themselves had endorsed that a democracy was a marketplace of ideas where the people had a right to know, that prior restraints were anathematic to a democracy, and that the foundation of speech and the press is the ark of the covenant of democracy. Shreya Singhal took this legacy ahead. As it improved upon the jurisprudence on the independence of the press to attain and promote the constitutional precept of plurality of thought, diversity of opinion, and the ethos of democracy in the technical age and in the context of online speech. The vision of justice was indeed attained in the courtroom. Not once, but multiple times. I ask myself, has it translated into reality? Has the success of these strong verdicts reached the ground? I will let the facts speak for themselves. On the ground, it appears to be a descent into chaos. And it is worrisome on all counts. When you sue the messenger, or you shoot the messenger, or when the messenger himself declined to deliver the message because of the fear psychosis. On 19th of June of this year, the Indian Express had published a very insightful article. This was selected from The Economist, titled as How Democracy Dies. It said at one place, independent judges and noisy journalists are democracy's first line of defense. Reports of the death of democracy are greatly exaggerated. I'm quoting from Indian Express. But the least bad system of government ever devised is in trouble. It needs defenders. I agree. But I have a suggestion, a slight modification in today's context. Not only independent judges and noisy journalists, but even independent journalists and sometimes noisy judges.